Hey, hey, hey. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the Tarot Flow Show, everybody. Tarot Flow Show, where synchronicity is the star. I'm very happy to be with everybody today and so happy to have our co-host here on the show. And I'm here with him in Scandinavia. So excited. I am spending a little time in Sweden, getting to know my co-host, getting to know his hometown here in Säter. And so that's, if you're seeing anything in the background, that's what you're seeing. Welcome to the stage, please, Mr. Kefri Skarabuth. Welcome, Kefri.
Thank you, Alison.
Nice to see you. Thank you for hosting on this lovely summer evening. It's about 10 o'clock at night, but you can see it's still light out the window there.
Yeah.
And we're very lucky today, Kefri, because we have today our special guest who not only is he a photographer, not only is he a documentarian, not only is he a funnel hacking Clickfunnels ambassador, he is a lifelong God-given teacher, a servant leader. He's been a network television consumer electronics reporter and consumer technology reporter. He's all these wonderful things, and he's so adorable, and he came on the show, and he's with us here, Christopher Krause. Yay! Hey, how you doing, Christopher? Welcome, welcome.
I'm doing well, especially after being called adorable. Thank you.
Well, you are indeed. We had a chance to meet in person, so I can confirm it across the board. And I see you on your midnight little broadcast for Clickfunnels every day at midnight. Christopher is there documenting his journey, documenting other people's journey, helping people create their sales funnels and all that good stuff. And so we're very pleased to have you here. And this is our second attempt, because the last time we wanted to have you on the show, Christopher, you got caught in that crazy tech pulse madness where everybody had to be stuck in the airport, and you were stuck at the airport. And so somebody came in and saved our little bacon, who's Anne-Marie, who I think you have met in the past. And if you haven't, she's another adorable person, but she came on and helped us out. And so we're so glad to have you here tonight. So thank you again for joining us. As we look at today, this is what you have signed up for, if you didn't know already. We're going to be chit-chatting a little bit. We're going to take a look at some major arcana and then pick a focus card. I'm going to ask you to pick a card that appeals to you. And we're going to use our analytical brains to parse it out and kind of cut it up and look at the pieces. But then in the reading portion, we're going to come and look at it much more from a holistic point of view, from a synthesis point of view, from a symbolic point of view. And we're going to do a little reading for your consideration. Christopher, we've been talking with some of the people that we've had on the show, and we talk a little bit about the idea where in life we kind of go along our timeline. You know, we're just going along in our little horizontal thing. And then once in a while we get a chance in a meditation, in a prayer, at a service, at something like this, where we have a chance to go vertical for a minute and just pause and see what there all is to consider, kind of up the chain to our soul, to ourself, to our source, to all that good stuff. And what, might the tools that are within tarot, that are images, might they help our left and right brains work together to give us information that might be helpful to us? So that's what we're going to play with today a bit, if that's okay for you. And if you don't mind my asking, Christopher, do you have experience with tarot before? Is this a first time thing for you? Tell us a little bit about your experiences.
Yeah, this is a first time thing for me. So I am completely open. I have no clue what's going on, and super happy to participate.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being a willing victim, shall we say, and being willing to kind of look at the vertical and check out what these symbols have for you. And you can see that Kefri's just there kind of shuffling in the background, and he'll be doing that for the whole show as he listens to the vibe here. In terms of your spiritual journey, are there other things that you engage in your reflective practice, Christopher, that help you kind of gather yourself or get connected?
So there's a couple things, actually, and it's funny that you mentioned that. I'm a big cycler, and so riding my bike is a way for me to connect and think and process and get through things. And I've ridden miles upon miles just thinking and being in solace, and it's wonderful. I've recently started meditating and making it an intentional thing to where I am actually doing it on purpose, not just doing it because I have a spare moment to just sit and do nothing, but now I actually intentionally do it. And as many people do, I resonate with the wilderness and being out in God's country and just being part of the amazing world that we're on.
Wonderful. And you live in the desert, do you not?
So that's an interesting question. Currently, I live in the desert in primarily Las Vegas, Nevada, but I am a true nomad. I am traveling nonstop.
No kidding.
Currently, I'm in Salt Lake City. A couple weeks ago, when that whole global craziness happened, I was in New York City, flying back to Las Vegas. I was in New Zealand for 6 weeks in the beginning of the year. So yeah, I'm all over the world all the time.
How exciting. Well, I might be following behind you. It sounds like a cool way to go. And welcome to the show. So we appreciate you very much. Let's take a look a little bit at the images that we're going to be dealing with. This is our vocabulary for today. And the main character in the major arcana, which is the like 1/3 of the tarot deck, there's 22 cards of the major arcanes, the major secrets. And though this looks like a person, it's really representing these kind of larger forces within our psyche. They're called archetypes. They are, they're things that we all kind of share within the human condition. And these drawings kind of help us contact them in some way. And this guy here, the Fool, this person, they are like a spirit unmanifest, and they have probably been around a few times. The garment is very decorated, a white rose of purity. They're ready to jump. They're willing, and the little animal body is going, no, it's too scary. Don't do it. And yet the spirit is willing, and so the spirit goes into this journey of the soul, shall we say? And let's get really oversimplified, and I just, for the purposes of simplicity now and expediency now, but the more you dig into these, the deeper it goes. It's like the more you scratch, the more it itches, the more you scratch. It's just, there's always something there. It's very fractal. It's very multiplicative. But let's just say that first row in the beginning there is kind of what you're born into. You've got your internal masculine, feminine polarities, maybe a mom and dad, a physical mother and father. We've all had one, whether we knew it or not, knew them or not. You might have a teacher. That Hierophant figure is getting us into the social mores. We all got raised to believe a certain set of beliefs. And then we relate to other people, that Lover's card. We start moving, like you are the permanent chariot right now. You are the charioteer because you're just on the road all the time, That middle row we could look at as being like the lessons of adulthood. Once you're out of the house and on your own, then you have to handle your passions, your solitude, your luck, and your learning and your education. The law in that Justice card. Maybe you run afoul of the law, or maybe your ethics take you to a different direction than the rest of society, and they don't understand you, but it's perfect for you. And then there's other things, maybe like that crazy pulse or a hurricane that comes to town, or the pandemic. There's things that kind of march through our lives that we can't control too much of. We can just respond to. And then by responding, we then kind of come into balance with that Temperance card. We are tested and we find our pathway. We mix our little cocktail and we find our pathway. And then the bottom row, we could say our states of consciousness. We could get real materialistic, real work driven, thinking that that's all there is, with that Devil card, that Capricorn goat on top there, just work. And then at a certain point, reality might come in and say, hey, there's more. That Tower card. And then you're kind of left to your own devices. Who are you in your naked authenticity? What is our hope? Then we have to kind of make our way through in this moony emotional time. There's the liberation of the sun when we do contact source, and then it carries us, that little sun card. And then there's judgment. We are marching to a new drummer. We have an awakening. And then there's kind of the closing of that loop, that victory. The magician at the beginning has one wand. This figure at the end has two wands. There's that laurel wreath of victory. Those little four figures from the Wheel of Fortune are now in close-up, and now it's in their head. What was in the book before is now in their head. The lesson has been learned, and we kind of loop around again with this Fool and back into this journey. So Christopher, as we look at this major arcana, are there any of these cards that particularly intrigue you that we could analyze and take apart and just kind of look and see what all is drawn into them?
The Hermit actually really intrigues me.
Okay, let's take a look at the Hermit. Kefri's going to put that up on our interface, and we'll take a look at that. And here we can see our Hermit. And this is it's a deceptively simple card. Many of the cards have a ton more like stuff in them, but this one definitely has stuff. Firstly, we'll notice that he's on the top of an icy mountain. So he's made it to the top, and he's made it to the top alone. Look at the lamp inside. The lamp is that Star of David or the Star of Solomon, which is the heaven-pointed star and the earth-pointed star coming into balance. The place on the tree of life where those two triangles come into balance is the place of Christ consciousness, or the center of the tree of life. And this figure is following his own light. He has a big wand that he's carrying with him, his staff. And he is learning his lessons and walking his particular road. Kefri, what else could we talk about in terms of this hermit? What should we know about?
Thank you, Alison. We have been talking about him once before, but actually on his back is another hermit, a dark hermit actually, that is his shadow. So if we are looking at it, we see a face there also, but that face is not as happy as him here, or as tranquil as he is. And also the light from the lamp is directed out in the world actually, and that is his spreading of light when he is in his own concentration and in his own calmness, so to speak. And the gray color also can be related to wisdom actually in the tree of life if we look at it kabbalistically, but he is a very wise hermit actually, and there is also a secret symbol for this that is connected to the Hebrew letter for this card, which is Yod, and that is the hand actually, the hand that makes something or can make some action actually. And he makes action with that lamp because he fills it with his own light to give it further to the world actually, and going into the balance of the world, so to speak.
Thank you. So we've been kind of analytic about this, Christopher. But you probably had just kind of an emotional impression or a first impression of it. What was it about this card that attracted you?
So kind of a transition in my journey in my life. Growing up, I was always the guy that got everyone together. I'd rally the troops. I'd plan the events. I'd do all of that. And as I grow older, I find myself not doing that as much. And then in 2020, I became like the hermit. Like I just stopped socializing. I live by myself. I don't have a partner. I'm not in any relationships other than that with my close friends and family. And so it intrigued me that the hermit was even a thing. But even as you're describing a little bit about that, very fascinating to hear some of those traits.
Indeed. And with that hermit and that yod meaning hand, maybe we remember that Wheel of Fortune that we saw before. I'll just pull this up real quick. The Wheel of Fortune, which is right kind of in the middle here. And the Wheel of Fortune is kind of connected to that idea of fate, it's kind of things that happen to you. It's like, destiny happens to you. But the hermit, on the other hand, he is the hand that turns the wheel. And so there is a making your own destiny aspect to this hermit card that's very perhaps important and perhaps something that consciously or otherwise you're doing in your own life is you are making your own, you're documenting your journey. Your journey is your own. You are making your way around the world on your own. And there's no other journey but that of the hermit to describe yours. And so that's well put. And thank you very much for checking that out with us. Let's take a look at the other cards here in the deck because we talked about the majors, the major secrets, the major arcanes, major arcana being 22, but now there's 56. So again, more than 2/3 are the ancestors of, well, you're in Vegas sometimes, all those playing cards, you know? So we've got the clubs, and then we've got the hearts, and then you've got the spades, and then you've got the diamonds. But in this ancestral version, we have the wands, which have to do with fire, or that spark of an idea. So what we're going to do here is imagine kind of putting this thing upward right now so that the wands are at the top. And think of like the idea, like we get ideas, but we don't know where they come from. You know, we respond to the ideas, we receive the ideas, but we don't really create them. They just come to us, you know, that intuition. So that's fire, and that's the wand. So that's, we almost can reach them. Where we can reach is the cups. And so if you imagine the wands being the spark of an idea, if we were going to carry that into reality, we would have to care about it just to start with. So there's the idea. And then that care function is the wands. You can see that sense of purpose, care, quest in that knight down below. You can also see all the signs of water, and you've got fire on the wands and then water with the cups. And then if we're going to take that idea any further, we're going to have to kind of plan it out. You know, if you're going to go to New Zealand, you're going to have to book the flight. You're going to have to make some plans, and that becomes a little bit cooler. That's the air sign of the swords. And you can see that knight, he's like off and running. And then all of this stuff is kind of in the realm of thoughts, feelings, ideas. It's outside of time. If it's going to happen in the earth plane, it's going to happen in the pentacles. Why is there a 5-pointed star? Because we experience the earth represented by that coin. Our currency is our 5 senses. You know, and so that's what that 5-pointed star is, representing our 5 senses. It also represents the 4 elements plus spirit. So this coin is the action that's taking place in the earth plane, and it also is taking place in our medium, which is time, which is why it's so slow. And so you can see the knight on that one. He's a pretty slow knight. In fact, he's stopped because he's got to guard those plowed fields. There's that idea of planting, germination, harvest, the whole time frame, eating, not dying, feeding the people so they don't starve, all the responsibilities that come on the earth plane as well. So we'll take a quick look at these wands, and you can see there's a 1 through 10, and then these court cards that have lots of fire symbols on them. Imagine that 10, if we had to carry all of our ideas, that would be really heavy, you know? Let's take a look at the cups. These could be emotional relationships. The 10 is happy in the cups here. If we had all of our wishes, let's say, granted, we might be quite happy. And you can see the emotional fulfillment represented in those later cards. And then the water signs in the court cards. And then getting into the air sign here with the swords. When you got to get the job done, when you need the war fought, when you need the surgery performed, you want somebody who's not going to fall apart in the drama of it all. You know, you want somebody who's going to forge through and get it done. And that takes a certain coldness. And that's the nature of this suit. And then but then our thoughts, our plans, couldn't we just kill ourselves with our own thoughts and the kinds of things that we say to ourselves or to others, the regrets that we have? Lots of air signs in the court cards. And then finally, warming it up a bit here in the earth, we can see this as projects, businesses, family relationships. Again, very comfortable in the 9 and 10 in this card, in this suit. And then lots of earth signs, fruit and crops and all kinds of beautiful things in the King of Pentacles there in the court cards. So those are the signs the suits that we're going to be seeing in the minor arcana. And then here is the reading that we're going to do. So quickly, any questions come to mind as you take a look at all that stuff?
No, I find it very fascinating, and I just following along. It's awesome.
Cool. Well, you're a great guest so far. We're having a good time. There's a chariot up there, very appropriate for you. You know, Andy Ortega, he chose the chariot, and we unpacked the chariot for him because he's another nomad, you know. And so when he came on the show, we had a chance to look at that card with him. But the card is number 7, and that's why it's here, because we're going to do a 7-card reading. We're going to do your issue, top middle. On the bottom is going to be a timeline. It's either going to be like past, present, future, or we're going to be looking at something that happened that was kind of important to you, that we're kind of getting some perspective on now. And then there's going to be advice, top left. Watch out for this. Might be better to avoid that. More supportive advice on the right. And then at the end, we'll pick a 7th card to give us some additional perspective, thoughts on it, things like that. And that's what we're going to do. So you can see that Kefri's been just shuffling like crazy. So I'm going to go off camera for a minute while he goes ahead and walks you through the selection process, and then we'll get into the reading.
Very good.
Yeah. And Christopher, you can say stop when you want me to stop shuffling.
Oh, okay. So this is like interactive now.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead and stop.
There. And do we want to cut the deck? And how many times do we want to cut the deck?
Cut the deck 3 times.
3 times. 1, 2, and 3. There we go. And we are going to look at the subject card first. And the subject card is the 6 of Cups. Coming up here, 6 of Cups. And then we are going to go for the lower row, and that is the past card. And the past card is the 10 of Wands. And the present card is the 8 of Cups. And the future card is the World. And the cautionary card, as we call it, is the Page of Wands. And last but not least, the advice card, what is good to do, is the 8 of Pentacles. And we wait with the 7th card for now. So there we have it.
Okay, so as we look at this, I'm going to start. Kefri, would you mind putting up that 6?
Yeah.
Thank you. So this isn't going to be our perspective card. We're just putting in the focus position right now. We'll bring the other card in later on. So you're in the middle right now, Christopher, of kind of being between making your mother happy and going out on your own. There's something right now about giving tribute to your parents, but perhaps you can notice on the left-hand side of that card, there's somebody who's kind of walking away. And there's the idea also, if you look at these people, these figures in the card, they're kind of weirdly sized kids. So there's like a big little child holding the card, holding the flower. And then the little one is actually an older lady. And she's wearing these little white gloves. And so there's a little bit of a role reversal going on right now. So I wonder if there isn't right now something that's on your mind right now about how can you help your parents, serve your parents, make your parents happy. But at the same time, this has been a rather a burden for you. So let's, and so I'm getting adventurous here in interpreting this card in that way, but I'm just going to go with it. And then you can tell us whether it's real or not as we get to the end, because there's other ways to go with interpretation. But this also, so in addition to being something kind of being caretaking and parental, there's the idea on this one that this has been something that you've been wanting to do for a long time. So what's on your mind could be serving your parents, but it also could be something that's been like a passion project or a desire that you've been holding on to for a long time and you maybe haven't had a chance to do it yet. And so that's what's kind of on your mind. And those things might be in harmony or might be in conflict. Let's take a look at the 10 in this past position.
Yeah.
So as we look at whatever was the first thing that happened in this continuum that we're looking at, it was the idea of taking on a big project, of taking on, deciding to do something led by your values, so that you can't really see where you're going, but it's just your values are leading you. And so you mentioned being kind of a servant leader, and that idea of serving has been really strong in both of these cards. There's the idea of serving with the bringing the flower of serving that cup of joy and care to the woman pictured in that card, and also this idea of taking on a large load on the basis of your values, even though you can't tell where it's taking you, and it's costing you quite a bit in terms of your own lifeblood. And so you're walking forward into this, but it's also walking forward into maybe another version of what this is. And so it may be that the thing that you took on, these 10 of Wands that you took on in the past, as you have moved it forward, has not... It's made you feel proud, but it hasn't given you the kind of satisfaction that you are seeking. And so let's take a look at this 8 of Cups. So as you have been doing this work and doing it to the best of your ability, trying to gather it and create a foundation for it and carry it strongly, it has not necessarily satisfied you all the way. There's still something kind of missing. And so you can kind of see in the stack of cups, this large investment of time and emotion, but ultimately this person has to go to higher ground because of the honor that they carry in this red cloak. And we'll notice the green pants and a kind of almost reddish cloak. So if we go back to that 10, if you don't mind, Kefri.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of see a similarity in the garments a little bit, although this one is a vest and the other's a full-out coat, but the pants are the same. As we move forward into this 8, this character under the moon, under the sun, that 8 of Cups, Kefri, that 8 of Cups card here, this figure really has no choice. If he is going to honor his most honorable self, he has to seek what hasn't yet been conquered. He has to keep going. So it may be that your travels are just keeping you traveling because you haven't found what you're looking for quite yet. But there is the idea of the seeker. And this wand, the hermit had a big wand on him, and this one is carrying a wand and moving forward in this, and moving again to higher ground through a rather emotional phase. But in that movement is moving to a victory. And let's, Kefri, take a look at that World card, please, and see that after this, perhaps having to leave something that had a lot of emotion and time and things invested in that prior 8, now, in moving away from it is a feeling now of victory and of completion and of ending and beginning. And so it looks like you have either just been through this thing that has been rather, I would say, wrenching, to leave because it represents so much time invested, and yet it must be done in order for you to feel like you. In order for you to achieve your own sense of victory. And that purple is a sash of victory. And this World card in what is either the culmination of this timeline or what is coming up for you in future is going to be this kind of feeling of, okay, now I understand. Okay, now, and there's going to be a new kind of beginning. If we look at the Page of Wands as the cautionary card, it is basically saying you don't need another project. You know what your project is. You don't, you don't have to really inspect this new situation, nor should you be taking on anything new. Let's notice that there's an 8 in the present time and that your recommendation is an 8. let's notice that the 8 is the emotions. And then after the swords, you're going to get into the pentacles, which is the real work. And so the recommendation for you is not to consider a new idea, which is this page considering a new idea. And directly below him, this guy who has already schlepped a lot of ideas, a lot of projects, a lot of things have you done already. I don't think you need a new venture. But it may well be that this new thing that you have found requires some digging into. So let's take a look at that 8 of Pentacles, please. And that's the card of the development of mastery. And so the 8 of Cups, which was the strength of emotion that it took to walk away from that other less important thing that you dedicated so much of yourself to. Now it's recommended to you to move forward into whatever this victorious world thing is in the future, this new thing that red figure is moving toward, and to really be proud. Hang that shingle. Develop the work. Really show it off to its best advantage. Show it for other people to see. Keep on developing it and perfecting it, and really show yourself to be the craftsman that you are. And that will be a major step toward your own self-definition, because I think that your own self-definition has been defined by others. I think that 6 has been like you've been defined by other people, and now it's time for you to define yourself for yourself. And who are you? And you can work on your own self, and you can be your own man, and you don't have to meet anybody else's definitions of what's correct. You are developing what's correct for you. You are the strength of character that is you. And you don't have to defend yourself to anyone, but it probably wouldn't hurt for you to show yourself to be the high-level professional that you can be. And so that's the recommendation to you. Just head down, do the work, be proud, and step out as your independent self without having to define yourself by other people's definitions. So that's what I'm getting from these cards. Kefri may have, and what I didn't mention before is that I kind of take this at a mundane level. What happens on the day-to-day? How does this play out in regular life? And then Kefri's going to and then a little bit on the psychology. And then Kefri's going to kind of pick it up and talk about what this means in terms of the spiritual journey, because a lot of tarot has to do with spiritual path work and the tree of life, the Kabbalah, if you've heard of that. And so there's a little bit of that in here to be considered as well. So I'm going to go off camera and continue the fire hose. Good thing we got a recording for you.
I was just thinking that same thing. I was like, wow.
And feel free to ask any questions. So, feel free. We are here to entertain you, so to speak. And
I think I'm good for now. I want to hear what Kefri has to say, and then I definitely will have some questions afterward.
Excellent.
Thank you, Alison. I am going deeper, I think. I think this has to do with your deep faith, Christopher. And I think that you have been trying to, if I should say, in the past, like you have been trying to build a foundation and something of a sort of a realization of your feelings or your deeper mission in life, or what it is. It's something, and it has been quite difficult to do, I think, because you have not been able to put your hands exactly on a spot where you feel that now I am content, now I understand what my mission is and what my fate, how I build it and how I make it stronger and so on. And this have been some sort of process, I think. And I think this is starting to change now. And I am thinking you are doing a lot of work for this also inside of you. And it is also about leaving some thoughts, giving space for other thoughts, I would say, because the development you do now, as I see, is going to a higher ground actually in it. And I think it can be a bit tricky from time to time actually. And it could be also that you are waiting for a sort of confirmation from a divine mind, or what we should call it, or getting something. And there is a sort of message to me in this, that that message will come when you have built a house for the spirit to rest in, so to speak, to build a sort of building a temple inside of you. And the future card here with the world is very positive actually, because that is the secret symbol for that is actually a cross. And it is also an open portal. So go on with doing this work that you have been beginning doing, and you will get a result in this actually. And that result is sort of an opening of a portal to a higher dimension, and a higher dimension of understanding, I would say. And there you also will find your foundation. And it could be that there is scriptures, there is traditional writings and so on, and they are good, but you should also form a sort of a circle where you can collect what is your take on it actually. And you will get an instant reward if you do that, because that is your foundation. And you don't have to copy anybody else in your fate situation, or trying to do something like somebody else do. You should do it exactly in your own way actually. And I think that there is a sort of a balancing thing here that is here actually. And there is a sort of an advice in this, because it is also that charity work inside of your faith, in your faith area, so to speak, is very good, because that will put you in the feeling of that hermit we was looking at for a minute ago or so. And it's no coincidence you choose that card, I think, because that is also a situation you want to reach actually, to be that chariot with the calmness and be able to spread the light to the world actually. And there is a lot of work you can do to do this actually, balancing work. And it could be making things, giving away things, making services, and doing a lot of things actually. You can put in work here, and even if it doesn't feel like it's leading anywhere, it will lead somewhere actually. So that is the advice here actually, to put in something that balance the situation. And remember this, don't try to copy anybody else in your fate situation, because your fate is your fate, and you can develop it to what you want. And when you have made that temple inside of you, the divine energy will fill it actually. So I end there. Thank you. And we will draw the 7th card now, and it is the 2 of Pentacles. So I will put that up here. There we are.
Well, I couldn't see another card that kind of more depicts how up in the air kind of your, like that George Clooney movie, you know, you're up in the air, you're always on a plane, you're always somewhere. And economically, you might be robbing Peter to pay Paul, and, you know, carrying this card to pay that card, and all that kind of stuff to kind of keep things going. But you're not in the water. So notice that this character is on a little separation from the water there. And the idea here is that it's okay to keep moving, and it's okay to keep defining it. It doesn't have to land. It's like keeping it elevated somehow is going to be helpful for you, because in that way, it allows you to be fluid. And you can be fluid in your faith. I think you can be fluid in yourself. And I think that can be a great relief to let yourself be a fluid person and have your fluidity be a blessed fluidity. And to be a blessed person in whatever your self-definition is, and your devotion is your devotion. No one can ever take that from you, ever, ever, ever. You are whole unto yourself. Look at that world card. If you don't mind, Kefri, would you put that world card up again?
Yeah, of course.
You are coming into your own, and you don't have to meet anybody. You don't have to fit anybody else's definition. You don't have to fit anybody else's pigeonhole. You don't have to be a third-party definition. You are unique. You are valuable. You are beautiful and adorable. And without apology, ever. Period. Be yourself. Be who you are. You are a blessed, God-blessed person. You are a child of God, and you have every right to be all of who you are. Period.
Yeah.
That's where I'm leaving it. And the Two of Wands is allowing you to be binary, non-binary, singular, double, nothing, everything, whatever you want. It is up to you. Entirely up to you. And you can be on ships, and you can be in the air, and you can be on the ground, and you can manage your affairs however you see fit. You are entitled to live your life the way you want to live it. And you have never lost your contact with God, ever. And it's cost you a lot, I would imagine. I'm projecting, but I'm going to say right now, I think it's cost you a lot to stay in what you consider to be the realm of good graces. And let me just say that circle of good graces is as wide as the equator of the earth for you. And should you choose to go to the moon, it'll extend up there too. It will encompass you. You are encompassed in the blessing of God.
Yeah.
Always and forever.
Yeah. And you have the power to incorporate the wisdom in the reality of your life, actually. You don't have to search for the wisdom from a high point, so to speak, and think that it stays there, because you can bring it down into your life, actually. And you can also see that there is an eternity symbol here. So this harmonizing is for eternity, actually. This dance is for eternity, and you can bring that down into reality. You don't have to do it as a sort of a ritual. You can do it every minute, every time of the day. Actually, it can be with you, and that will open up that portal that I was speaking about also.
So that's the tarot flow, baby.
Yeah.
Can I go take a nap now?
That would be a really good thing to do, because after this, it would be a great thing to like sleep and dream and let that kind of just settle in and see what you dream and all that good stuff. You know, no one can ever sever your connection. You are the connection. It's the great blasphemy to say that you are God, but God is within you. You know, all of us have that connection. All of us have emanated from it, and we're trying to get back to it and reestablish that connection so that we can be whole in that way. And you are whole in that way, and you can establish that connection. You don't need anybody else's blessing to do it. You have it.
Yeah, I've felt that most of my life. It's funny because I've gone through some really traumatic events in my life, starting at the young age of 15. From the first one, I remember my my 12-year-old sister passed away unexpectedly. And then it was another family member's death, a relative's death, and then other things and whatnot. And throughout all the chaos, I always see God's hand and the blessings in my life. And it's been fascinating. In fact, there's jokes about it, because if someone wants to go to the store and get close to the front door, they'll ask me to go to the store with them, because they know there will be a parking spot for Christopher close to the door.
I have good parking too, and weather. I have good weather and parking. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. And you know, they joke around about that, but I have always acknowledged that is a gift, and I've acknowledged where it's come from as well. So it's fascinating to hear that I guess impactfulness of that connection cannot be severed, because I feel that. I feel that very strongly in my life.
And especially with other people's judgments and their own limited thinking. You should never be subject to other people's limited thinking. Oh my gosh, because you are beyond that. And I think that you've been allowing yourself to live in both worlds and have a passport into both worlds. And that could be represented in this card as well. You know, being able to live both ways and to move in whatever ways you please without limitation. Absolutely. Why not? No one should restrict you.
I see that. I do have a question in relation to this reading, and a thing that I've said I have for a long time personally, and maybe it's just a internal thing that I think, but I have told people on several occasions that I'm afraid of success. I'm afraid of succeeding. So how does that integrate, or how does this reading and these cards integrate into that thought?
I would say, first off, without the cards playing into it, I would consider changing your grammar and just say things like, I used to be afraid of success. Or in the past, I was afraid of success. Or I have known fear of success. Something to shift it into the past, you know what I mean? But I think that that also might be that figure walking away. That would you put up that eight of Jeffrey?
The 6 of, you mean?
No, actually, I was looking at the 8. But
you mean that one? Yeah.
Yeah. Because this is kind of walking away from something that's almost built. And so I wonder if recently you've almost been successful and then decided to go do something else. But it also could be more to you're directly asking that question. Could that question be the excuse or the rationalization for having abandoned what you thought you wanted, but you really didn't? And so you're like, well, maybe I'm just afraid of success because I don't want to do it or something like that. I don't know. Because I think that that's a notion rather than a reality that's communicated from the cards. And I would hate to see you carry that present tense expression into your future, because I don't think it's very productive. No. I don't think it's too helpful in terms of one's own neuro-linguistic programming. You know what I mean? But certainly as a analytical thing, maybe that's why I did that, is because I'm afraid of success. It might be too pat an answer. I would say that there are more complex things going on than fear of success. It might mean that if you achieved success, then other people might see you. What would it mean for other people to see you? If you were successful, you might have to perform in a particular way that you don't want to have to perform. And so in order not to have to perform in that way, you don't get successful. So you have to maybe find out what is the definition you have of success, and what's attached to success that you haven't wanted to get. And if you can detach that thing from what success is, then maybe you could have success, because success doesn't mean that you got to be this thing. Maybe being a success is married with kids, and you don't want to be married with kids. So you're never going to be successful under that definition, because maybe you just don't want that. Okay. That doesn't mean fear of success. That means choice and sovereignty. Again, that goes to other people's definitions. So maybe you don't want to be successful by other people's definitions.
No.
What's your definition of success? That's really the better question.
I think that just answered the questions, actually. By other.
And I wasn't in the cards necessarily. Kepri, I'm going to shut up and let you answer that question.
No, but I get drawn to this card and this man that walks away here, because this is a balancing situation actually, and I think that this is you in this case, Christopher, that walks by. You don't balance the situation because there the success is, and you are afraid of that. And I think also it's connected to what I was saying about the page here. Don't copy anybody else. Do it your way. And that is also what you must do. And actually, I think that you are on a good way, because I think you already have started a new process actually, and that is this portal that is going to open up, because you have built the foundation that you have searched for so long actually, even if you perhaps not see it so clearly today, but you have done it actually, because this leaving of one ground to go to a higher ground is also a sort of that process that you do things in new ways, and then you also get success in another way than you have seen success before, and perhaps you have an easier way of taking it in when it comes in another way, so to speak. And it has to do with the Two of Pentacles also, bringing down the wisdom in this world. You don't have to look up and see, oh, there is a successful thing, but I can't have that because this is in a divine world or a higher world or something. But you have the power to bring that into this world, actually.
Would you show that card again, that 2, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There we have it.
So yeah, you've got double success, honestly, and 2 ships to sail on, and your hand in both of them, and you're doing your little dance. You know, again, this is your world. This is your life.
It's been fascinating listening to you guys. Like, honestly, I am shocked. I'm completely in awe. This is
our big payoff. You have to know, Christopher, because we never know. We just say, we're like, let's hope it goes well. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. There's some things that you said that I don't know if I understand quite, like the pleasing my parents thing.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's quite it, but I have wanted to retire my parents for the last 15 years and I haven't been able to. Mm-hmm. So it's funny that you mentioned that, funny, peculiar. And so like I said, I need to take a nap. I need to watch this 2 or 3 more times and really soak it in, because I think there's a lot here that is very applicable and very relevant to today, right now, in this time that I'm in.
Wonderful. Good. And of course, you are more than welcome to come on back at whatever point to do a follow-up thing and see what things are talking about then, and see how things have shifted. It would be our pleasure. And so, yeah, this is the tarot flow. It's interesting to consider what these things have to say, and then it does help to look at it and listen to it afterwards. As soon as this thing processes, I'll send you the link, and then you can let us know if you want to put it up or what to put up or what not to put up. It's entirely fine either way. And it would be a pleasure to have you back again, because it's really interesting for us to get to know people, because, as a very nosy person, this is extremely satisfying for me. So because I don't like small talk, but I'll talk big talk all the time, and it's fun to, and I also like to support people and to praise them where they need praise and where they deserve praise. And you're someone who is extremely dedicated, and you have a passion for things that really serve people rather than, just making money or, there's a larger purpose to your life. And so in that way, praise is due and support is due for you to continue on, because oftentimes the world doesn't necessarily easily support those decisions because people look at you like you're a little nutty, crazy, because you don't fit in their pigeonhole or what they see as, how people are supposed to be. But it's a big wide world, and all of us are here to kind of push the envelope of what it is, I think, to be human, and to expand that definition, I hope. And so may you keep expanding your own self-definition, and may you keep succeeding where you perhaps were afraid to succeed before, or just afraid to succeed with whatever the attached requirements were, that you can decide to detach from your definition of success, and you can create your own definition of success. And may you get there as soon as possible. If you're not, I believe you're already there, but it's always just an increasing deepening of that aspect.
Yeah. I have one more question about the world card.
Yeah.
So the world card, the four, in which those 4 icons around the edge show up on other cards, right? Mm-hmm. What's the significance of those? Specifically, the eagle is what I'm looking at.
Well, we've got a few different things in there. So Ezekiel's vision, he saw the 4 angels. And so those are the 4 animals in Ezekiel's vision. They're also the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. And the eagle in particular is the higher aspect of Scorpio. So Scorpio is scorpion, snake, and eagle. Are you a Scorpio?
I am.
Well, there you go. And I'm a Leo. And so you're at the top right. I'm at the top bottom, or the bottom right. And so those are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. And the eagle has many, many significances in lots of different cultures, of course. What else could we say about those, Kefri?
We can say also that they are outside of the circle, so they are important, but perhaps the portal that is open inside the circle is not necessarily containing them, but we can be inspired by them to open that portal, so to speak, and build that foundation. Also, I said that the secret or the symbol for this card is a cross, actually. And looking at this Kabbalistically also, this is the start of the journey, the ascentment upwards to a balance, where in the balance we can meet a higher divine energy, and we can be untouched by it, not be knocked out by it, so to speak. We can take it in.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this.
It's been our pleasure.
I'm a very open-minded individual. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I think, Alison, when you and I met in LA, I told you I've always wanted to do this, but I just, because of time or money or whatever, I just have never done it. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And I hope you will drop your address in the text afterwards, because Kefri and I, or wherever it is that you're going to next be, where you can get a package. So we can send you a book and a card set so you can play on your own. And next time you come on the show, you can throw the cards and then we'll all interpret them together.
Okay. That'd be very cool.
Cool. Well, thank you for being with us, Christopher. So in terms of your journey, you're a deep individual. For those people who are still, if you're still with us, people, thank you. You have a great attention span. What are some words of wisdom that you would share with people who are watching this with us?
Well, I think one of the pieces of advice that I would give anyone, and this came from when I was a very young child. So I'm religious. I am a part of a particular faith, which happened to be a big supporter of the Boy Scout program. And every congregation of the church put their kids in the Boy Scout program associated with the church. But my parents didn't. They put me in a non-denominational Cub Scout program, which completely changed my life, because now I have an open mind, and I have a mind of curiosity and a mind of attraction rather than judging and retract or repulsing or, getting rid of things. So I think anyone watching still to this point, that comment that I made, I need to go take a nap, is because I was thinking on so many levels throughout the whole process that now I can tell my mind is really working at the deeper meanings of what we've talked about. And also keeping an open mind to different interpretations to what certain things could be, such as the parents' conversation on one of the cards, or success in other things for my reading here today. So I think just keeping an open mind, and also allowing yourself to be to allow the spirituality or intuition or whatever you want to call it for yourself into your body, so you can be accepting and just willing to hear.
Jeffrey, don't we have the world's greatest guests?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We do.
Thank you, Christopher. It's really been amazing. And I was looking forward to this. And now I understand why. I appreciate your openness. I look forward to seeing you again soon. And I thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest today on the Tarot Flow Show.
Thank you so much. And Kefri, it is a pleasure meeting you.
The same to you, Christopher. A pleasure.
All right. So so stick around for a minute. I'm going to take us off camera while we take us off, and then we'll be right back. Thank you, Christopher, and see you everybody very soon. And let's take it away.